Live from New York. It's a show that has an issue with birthdays.
We missed KW's birthday
It was
yesterday.
my birthday yesterday.
We wished you a happy birthday.
Not
on
on
the
the air.
show.
I'm not saying you didn't, okay? But it was my birthday.
Sorry, buddy.
They bring out a little dessert. Guess how many candles is on it?
One.
Oh, my one?
You wanted 54 candles?
Wanted more than one. One candle? My baby?
What? That's how we're starting the show?
I just didn't want, I wanted more than one candle.
Fire hazard.
We should have done it on the show, though.
No, I don't
No,
want.
we-
I don't like talking about
You
my
don't
birthday
like
on
doing it
What
on
do
the
you,
show.
What?
You don't like what?
No one knew. We all forgot. You led the show the day after your birthday with your
That's
birthday.
fine. I don't mind
and
talking
clearly
about-
said-
bothered that
And
we
then
didn't.
you said, I don't
No,
like talking about
I don't
it.
like talking. I don't mind talking about it in the past tense,
I got you.
but I don't like being in the moment.
No, look, Nick doesn't like celebrating his birthday on the air. I do.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
you celebrate mine with crumble cookies.
Yeah.
You act like you don't, but you
Correct.
really do.
No, I don't like-
You
I
really
like-
want the
I was still in
pomp
Drake
and
May
circumstance.
morning.
Because
though.
I only don't like celebrating my birthday because I like my age to be a bit of a mystery. People are like, wait, he's a grandfather, but wait, he's out till 4 in the morning. Nobody can quite figure out how old I am.
America,
I don't know
he's-
if that's a compliment.
No, exactly. I know. It's just it adds to the intrigue.
We start
Got
with Drake
robots
May's
doing
shoulder.
surgeries now.
Speaking of injuries,
Yeah.
his shoulder, not perfect, but not unplayable, not an excuse, but also not an explanation. Drake May being very fair and I thought mature, bro. Did this change how you viewed Drake's Super Bowl?
First, I want to say because while I can't say I watched the entire press conference, I watched more than that clip. Drake's answer was perfect.
Yeah.
This is now the second, actually, AFC East quarterback who I feel has dealt with his shortcomings in a loss in the playoffs better than his biggest media defenders have. Drake May made it very clear he was not blaming the shoulder. He didn't run. He didn't, lie. He acknowledged he got banged up in the Broncos game in particular. He'd been banged up throughout the year a bit from the sacks, but he did not blame it on that. So I want to give that young man a ton of credit. I thought he handled that entire thing really well. As far as what we take from his Super Bowl and his playoff run in projecting him forward, I think it would be a massive mistake for Pats fans and for the Patriots organization to simply be like, yeah, not quite as bad, but similar to what happened to the Broncos. Our quarterback got hurt. Like, what do you want from us? As opposed to acknowledging that the struggles were coming pre-Super Bowl. And Dust, if we show my second graphic, he actually, from a passing perspective, played better in the Super Bowl than in the 3 playoff games leading up to the Super Bowl. So there is.
And most of that was late.
It was late.
Gatorade was
Gatorade was stirring. It's a great point, bro.
It was
stirring.
to it.
But the reason I'm saying the team needs to acknowledge that maybe the shoulder did impact his game, but is not the reason for it. How do we try to make sure it doesn't impact the next time he's in the playoffs? Because, he has now had, in his very short career, 33 total games, more 5-sack games than Peyton Manning in his career.
Wow.
7 versus 4 for Peyton.
Wow.
Then Patrick Mahomes in his career, 7 versus 5. Then Dan Marino in his career, 7 versus 2.
That's wild.
Tom Brady, who played more football than anyone ever and only missed time with injury once, the ACL, only had 10 5-sack games in his entire career, playoffs and regular season.
And none of those guys were mobile.
Right. And so Drake has, and Mahomes mobile, obviously, to a degree. But so 102 total sacks, those Mike Vick, Randall Cunningham running stats that we showed, which from last year, which speaks to extra punishment, and just getting beat the hell up, particularly in the playoffs, but a track record of it in his career. All of that to me is, guys, we have to not only do a better job protecting him, he has to do a better job protecting himself. Because the reason I find the Peyton and Dan Marino stats important, Brew, is those guys didn't go their entire careers with elite offensive lines. They just understood, throw it away, get rid of it.
Were sacks like that watched in early Dan Marino?
Sacks 1981 to now, and Marino came in the league in 83.
Okay.
So, yes, it is. I couldn't go to quarterbacks older than Marino, but you can start with the Marino draft, and you have their whole career sacks game by game. And so
maybe it should have hung in the pocket a little bit.
Well, sure. Maybe he would have won a Super Bowl. I don't know. But that, to me, is what's noteworthy about this, more so than he was a little banged up.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, they've got to, this offseason, improve the offensive line. And maybe Will Campbell, I mean, the knee, he played on a bad knee, so maybe he'll be healthy and that'll improve it. But he's got to get rid of the ball quicker. It's just as simple as that. That was kind of a strength of his, and holding on to the ball, extending plays. That article we referenced yesterday, was it Jeremy Fowler maybe?
Yeah.
But he talked about that being one of his strengths. He could extend plays. However, it also can lead to bad sacks. So he's just got to work that out as a young player, and I think he will and can. But as far as changing my view of him in the Super Bowl, no, not at all. I'm with Nick in this. Number one, it's just sore. Number one, like if it was announced I'm getting surgery tomorrow or something like that, then it would change it. And I'm not trying to belittle the injury, but it's a sore shoulder, all right? And very sore because he had to get a shot for it. But it's not enough for me to look at and say, oh, that's why he struggled. Secondly, as Nick said, he was struggling before the injury. The injury was in the Denver game, second half of the Denver game. He struggled, he wasn't great against the Chargers, obviously. Had some big plays, but also some bad plays against Houston, and then was not very good in the first half against Denver before the injury. And then even in the Super Bowl, you showed it, and we're not going to glorify it, but he threw for 295 yards. He threw a picture-perfect pass to Mac Hollins for the touchdown in the fourth quarter. So he still could throw. His inaccuracy was not because of the shoulder, as you showed with your graphic. It was throughout the playoffs. And so, no, I'm not going to make this give him a pass because of this. But I just think he has to learn from it, and he will, and move on.
So you are not moving him, when you look at your power ranking of quarterbacks, are you taking this rough postseason for Drake Maye and knocking him for it?
Well, I do not have him entering next season as like a definitive or as a top 5 quarterback.
Okay, that's all right. If that's the argument, I feel like
he's still right there, right below that. Yeah.
As long as he's still in the mix on top 5, I think it's fair.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I don't think I think the 5 are, unless you want to say Burrow's not, but Lamar, Stafford, Josh, Mahomes.
I think those are all fair.
Yeah.
And I thought he could have, I thought my prediction going into this playoffs was he was going to take Burrow's spot. And so that.
But you don't think he did?
No, I mean, and it's I just think where this is, the quarterback win stuff, I do not put a ton of value on playing poorly in a win. I do put value on what I thought Darnold did in the Super Bowl, preventing turnovers, playing smart in a win. And we disagree in the margins of how poorly his playoff run was prior to the Super Bowl. But yeah, it hurt him in that he didn't get where I thought he was going to get, but it didn't move him out of that. He is first in line along, he is standing next to him, Caleb, I got to include Darnold, Jalen Hurts, like whoever Herbert, like that next grouping is, that big fluid second tier.
As long as he's first in line, I feel like that's a win.
Well, I don't know if he's first in line. I mean, he's in line. He's up there.
I don't even know if there is a first in line.
Right. I don't think there's a first. But I do think if someone wants to say, hey, that great class of quarterbacks, it could be Drake number 1, could be Caleb, could be Jaden, assuming
I think it's still open.
I think that's fair. Like, and Caleb was not as good as him this year.
No.
But I'm just saying.
And didn't get a chance to play Seattle. That's the only thing I push back against.
It's all fair.
It's similar to your LeBron Jordan, echoes of your LeBron Jordan argument. Like, LeBron gets knocked for being so good, he gets to his final the final stage and loses. Now you can say like, well, LeBron always plays well. Like, okay. Then I would say different sports.
No, but I mean, I would think it's unfair if Drake Maye had played at his regular season level up to the Super Bowl in the playoffs.
We probably would be
And
saying
then played poorly in the Super Bowl, and then be like, well, Caleb didn't play poorly in the playoffs. That to me would be unfair. But if we were to, I think we would agree between Caleb and Drake Maye, they played 6 playoff games this year. The 2 best ones were Caleb's. And so because of that, like that's to me where I think it's fair. Can I ask you another
Certainly
question?
had some good highlights.
You said I knew
Caleb.
you were.
Yeah, he had some good. No, he had some very good. Yeah, he had some.
I mean,
look at my hair.
No, well, you're fine with your hair, buddy. You're so on tilt.
Well, Hubs was yelling at me about my hairpiece.
Today. My goodness.
Drake Maye hairpiece.
It's out there.
Can I ask you one other question before we move on? Mm-hmm. Do you agree with me that at this point the NFL has no choice but to put some type of punishment on the Patriots for their Super Bowl injury report? If we are at Wednesday and the quarterback is, the number one story is the quarterback's injury. The quarterback said, I had the shoulder shot up, that he was dealing with something. Especially in the modern NFL world where gambling is legal, if not encouraged. It is the quarterback of a Super Bowl team that I know no way to read it other than the team, let's call it fudged, information on the final injury report leading into the Super Bowl. I think the NFL is obligated, whether it's take a 6th round pick.
No,
or
you're not taking picks.
I don't think they should do that.
Picks.
I mean, I'm not making that up. That has been a penalty for injury report stuff in the past. But fine.
I think it's.
But they have to do something, right?
I think it's very possible. Maybe I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt, but that the Patriots like, okay, he's playing, he's fine, it's sore, but he's playing. There's no question. We're taking him off the injury report. I will agree with you, Nick, though, in this day and age where people are betting money based on these reports and things like that, you have to leave him on. I don't think they should lose a draft pick, but maybe a fine or something like that.
I just don't know the ins and outs of it. If the NFL wanted to fine the Patriots and you were the Patriots' defense, isn't a fair defense? He was good to go. And so we didn't put him on the injury report.
But that's what, I mean,
it wasn't structural
it was sore.
or anything.
Yeah, and he was a full participant in practice. And then he woke up and needed, I don't know how that works.
Sunday morning updates of this guy got, flu-like symptoms has been added Sunday morning to the injury report.
Yeah, probably.
And Schefter tells us he's getting an IV and expected to play. I just think the quarterback of one of the teams in the Super Bowl said in this press conference, I hurt my shoulder in the AFC Championship game. I had it shot up before the Super Bowl, and he was not on the injury report, the final one going into the Super Bowl. That, to me, is not great.
Yeah. Give us a nice symbolic fine.
Okay.
Light a fire under the franchise. Meanwhile, we're going to stick in the AFC East. Bills back in the top spot for the best odds to win. Patriots at 2. Congrats to the Jets. They're in 3rd. I was some basement stuff.
That's stunning.
That is.
And then Miami's in the basement. Do the Bills deserve to be the AFC East favorites?
Well, look, I don't think, Wiles, that your Patriots are going to repeat as AFC East champions, all right?
Yeah.
However, so I think the Bills will win the division. But I do think, Nick, just objectively looking at it, that there are enough question marks about Buffalo to where you could put the Patriots in. Now, the Patriots' schedule is a monster.
Bills' schedule is almost as hard.
Yeah, Bills has got to be close. But with you got a new head coach, and we've seen. I think Brady's going to be fine. But we have seen great coordinators that weren't great head coaches. He's in the same place. You would think it'll go well, but it's still a question mark. Defensively, there is no doubt Sean McDermott was a huge part of that defense because they had injury after injury after injury, seemingly year after year, and he kept them atop the league defensively or, in the top 10 every year in the regular season. So that is a big question mark. They still don't have a number one receiver. Maybe they'll get one, but right now they don't. And so I don't, like, this year we've been saying this wasn't their best team, but this was their best opportunity since the Chiefs are out. Well, what's changed other than coaching turmoil? So I just think there are a lot of questions about them where I don't think you should objectively put them number one in the division.
So the schedule piece is really interesting because as tough as the Pats schedule is, and some of that is home road stuff, and I don't have the Bills road schedule committed to memory. Because of the way the NFL scheduling works, the Bills and Patriots play the exact same games except for your 3 strength of schedule games. And as it happens, so the 3 divisions that the Patriots play the winners of, I bet this side of the table is going to be like, oh, damn, second place might be tougher.
Yeah.
So where the Patriots have the Jags, the Bills have the Texans.
Not good.
Where the Patriots have Pittsburgh, the Bills have Baltimore. And where the Patriots have Seattle, the Bills have the Rams, which are 2 excellent. So to me, they have basically identical difficulty of schedule. And so it really comes down to, do you think is either of these teams likely to take a big step forward next year? I would say no. Is either of these teams likely to take at least a somewhat significant step back? And that's where I will say yes to the Patriots.
Oh,
because,
I'm shocked.
So this is where the playoff run impacts my projection.
Okay.
I am less confident that when you play this level of schedule, you are going to get consistent A-level quarterback play. With the Bills,
so it's not so much the team, it's the quarterback.
Well, yes, I also think he's the best player on the team, Christian Gonzalez, whatever. But I think he's an excellent player. But I think the Bills can survive the choppy waters of the regular season of a rookie head coach because I know what they're getting from their quarterback basically over the course of a season, no matter what the schedule is. I now have in my brain at least the possibility of, Drake Maye's current style, and maybe he will adjust it, of I am hunting the big plays, I am going to stand here in the pocket, I'm going to do these things, might have a weakness against the better defenses while absolutely annihilating, along with Josh McDaniels' game plan, the poorer defenses. And so that's where that's the scar tissue of the Patriots' playoff run, where they lost in a way that I didn't think the Pats were going to lose because defense was excellent the whole time and the offense fell off. The Bills, if you told me how they were going to lose, it'd be like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like the Bills, Josh played, had a big roller coaster type of game and they came up on the wrong side of it.
My only counter to that is you can name the quarterbacks who played well against the Seahawks on one hand and one finger, and it's only Matthew Stafford.
Well, Baker. 2 guys.
Baker.
They scored
Baker
38.
played well.
Baker played well. But that's it. That's the whole list.
Yeah, I also kind of give teams a one-off, like, we relax.
Yeah, sure.
Like I think Daniel Jones, early Colts game. We can name the teams who played well in Denver against that Broncos defense. It was just Trevor Lawrence, and that goes over, I think, 2 years. Yeah. Teams that played well against the Texans, it might be no one. Or maybe that was like a Colts.
Trevor had a game. I think the Colts had a game.
Early on, but when they started. So I think it's hard to find anybody who really excelled. And that just shows you how powerful great defenses are. Yeah. The question I have for you, and the whole table, did the Bills just change their coach, or did they just change their whole identity as a team? So Sean McDermott, I almost felt like you were underselling what he did. They were a defensive team with a superstar quarterback. Their scoring defense, when they were cooking, and we thought they really had great teams, they had the best offense, the second best defense, the fourth best defense. Then we're like, they're not quite as good, but like you said, Brew, they have an easier run. Yep. Is this just is this what they're going to be? And we saw in Chicago a team that was historically a defensive Chicago Bears team, just like the DNA of the team.
You know what?
Like, I'm an aggressive OC. We're actually an offensive team. The defense we're going to put in the back burner.
Well, look, I think their identity has been Josh Allen. Like for, these last several years, like he is the identity. Defense has been very good, but we have not thought of, correct me if you think I'm wrong, we have not thought of them like we've thought of the Ravens kind of defensive, over the last 7 years.
I know.
Some
That's
of these
true.
teams that are straight, like we're thinking of Seattle right now. We've never thought of Buffalo like that. We've just looked at it and been, they're always in the top 5, top 10. But it's not like they've had this imposing defense that was, intimidating opponents. So, but it is a legit question mark just because I think McDermott was great. And maybe one of the reasons they weren't ever that imposing was because guys seemed to always be hurt, Milano and just other players. So, but it's a legit question mark. There's no doubt.
Okay, let's head to the NBA. LeBron sat out last night's game against the Spurs. It's the 18th game he's missed, which means he's dropped below the 65-game threshold for end of the season awards. And Brew, he's not the only one in danger of missing out. He's out. If you miss over 17, if you miss 18,
right?
you're done. Joker can only miss 2. Steph can only miss 3. Wemby can only miss 4. And Luka can only miss 7 games from here on out. Your reaction to the 65-game rule
Well, 3 of those guys, Jokic, Wemby, and Luka, would likely be first team.
Yes.
Steph will be on one of the teams, second, third, whatever.
LeBron probably wasn't going to make it.
Right. But I actually think, I think this is a big problem. And these guys are not missing games. Like, one of the reasons the rule was put in was because it was load management for so many guys. None of those guys are load managing. They are just, they've been legitimately hurt. And if they can't be first team All-NBA or second or third team All-NBA,
Correct.
It is going to be a joke, the All-NBA teams, and some of the awards too. Now, I actually believe that Adam Silver, this weekend, Saturday, he'll do his annual, meeting with the press at All-Star Weekend. I think he should make an executive decision where he is saying, I am eliminating the 65-game rule. And trust the voters. Because everybody that has a vote, they have a vote for a reason because they cover the league seriously. They're not just, random people that don't know what they're talking about or know what they're looking at. They're not, if a guy plays 40 games, nobody's going to vote him MVP or something like that. Like Giannis, Giannis is going to miss, if not the rest of the season. He'll miss so much that nobody's going to put him on one of those teams. But if Jokic plays 59 games and averages a triple-double, he could perhaps still be deserving of a first team or second team All-NBA. And look, Bill Walton won MVP in 1978 playing 58 games.
Yep.
As a voter, I have taken games into consideration. The second year Nash won it, Steve Nash, a lot of people thought Shaq should have won it. But Shaq played, I believe, 58 games that year, 59 games.
It wasn't enough.
And I looked at that. And it wasn't a rule, but I just said, yeah, he didn't play enough games. And I looked at Walton kind of as a precedent. And so I just think that these guys are missing games because of injuries. And the voters are smart enough to know, to have in their mind what too many games missed is. So I just think this is not what the rule was put in for. So I think he should make that unilateral decision.
So I was going to talk about the LeBron streak ending, but we can do that another time. So I just want to meet you where you're at. As someone who cares deeply about the history of this league, who spent countless hours on a project that made $0 on it, just wanted to have done it, the 50 greatest players last 50 years. The awards ballot and All-NBA history, the NBA encyclopedia, is invaluable.
Oh, yeah.
It is snapshots of time of dominance of a position, dominant runs, all these things. And I hate that as long as the game is played the way it is currently played, where the injuries are ramping up, not ramping down, and this rule is in place, the project I did will be almost impossible for someone to do accurately 50 years from now. Like, I'm not going to act like I didn't do what Simmons did and watch all the games and write an 800-page book, but I put a lot of time into it. But some of it is, hey, in the late 50s and 60s, what were the All-NBA teams?
Right.
What were the MVP votes? Who were the dominant guys? And I know it sounds silly, but I care about this stuff. In 50 years, people are like, oh, wow, Joker's run ended. Right. No, it didn't.
Right, you
know what I mean? Like, it's like, oh, well, this guy made All-NBA first or second team this stretch of time. Then, he had a down year. It's like, no, somebody fell into his knee and he missed a month. That's all that happened.
Well, to your point, because people would look at, let's say he plays 60 games.
Yeah.
People would look at 60 and be like, oh, he played basically the whole season, but didn't make All-NBA.
Correct.
Any of the teams.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the show. The NFL season has concluded. Mock draft season has begun. Joel Klatt has the Chiefs taking Jeremiyah Love at 9. Very interesting. You like it?
I like it. I don't love it. No pun intended, not stealing Bruce's bit. I just didn't know how else to say that. So I think there are a few specific players and then a couple specific positions where you could see them going at pick 9, and because it's such a high pick, you know who they are, so I kind of tiered them for you. Okay. So what I would like them to do, if we put it up there, Dust, if either of the edges, David Bailey or Reuben Bain Jr., are available, that's who I want them to take. They have not had a dominant edge rusher since Frank Clark, and Frank Clark was only, God bless him for it, only dominant in the playoffs. And so I think we see year after year how important that is, and the Chiefs just don't have it. Karlaftis is a fine player, and Chris Jones does what he can do at D tackle. That's the value spot if either of those guys are there. I wouldn't hate Jeremiyah Love. It would be fun. I'd call it risky, but what is true is running backs that go in the top 10, we'll see on Ashton Genty, or the top half of the first round. Bijan, love it. Gibbs, love it. Saquon, love him. Fournette, it was excellent, for a period. Yeah. Then Christian McCaffrey, Zeke, Derrick Henry, Todd Gurley. Like, those guys are super valuable, at least on their rookie contracts. I wouldn't hate it if they take Caleb Downs, who some people think is the best player in college football, but it's just such a non-value position. Right. Or wide receiver only if no wide receivers have been taken. Mm-hmm. And the only thing I would not like at all is if they take an offensive lineman when I believe left tackle is set with Josh Simmons. So Jeremiyah Love, I guess, would be, if both those edges are off the board, it is who I would want. If they're either one of them are on the board, I think you got to go D-line because it's such an expensive position, so hard to find outside of it.
Look, I think your list makes a lot of sense, but I do like Love there. You know, I mean, for Mahomes, particularly coming off an injury, we want to see how this would allow him, assuming Love was really good, to kind of ease his way back. It is a great safety valve, especially, again, maybe Kelsey's not there anymore. You know, so, and their offense has been, even though they need some defensive help, even last year they were, 6th in scoring defense. The problem recently has been the offense. The last 3 years they haven't been above 15 in scoring offense. And this year they were 21st. That may have dropped a little when Mahomes went out. But still, they were a middle-of-the-road offense, and they've been that for a while. If they can get a legit running back in there who can, and this guy, I mean, he averaged 7 yards a carry for his career, essentially, and he can catch the ball as well. A difference maker like that, even if he's not quite Bijan or something, but if he's like close, that would be phenomenal for the Chiefs.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
So for me, I don't like it.
I love it.
Oh. I actually do love it. Like, to your point, obviously edge would be ideal. Give Chris Jones some help, re-unlock him again. I totally get where you're going with that. But for this offense, his ability to catch out of the backfield, and I know we say these receivers or these running backs with Jahmyr Gibbs and Bijan and Christian McCaffrey and even Saquon, the value that they provide quarterbacks. When you have a quarterback, especially Patrick Mahomes coming off of an injury, You need that extra check down guy that you can just rely on, that if I don't have it in my route progression, you know what, I can possibly scramble, but get it to him. He doesn't just catch like typical running backs. He was put in the slot. Like, I watched him against Arkansas. They put him at the number 3 position as a receiver. He runs a corner route, plucks the ball with his hands, gets his feet in bounds. He doesn't catch like your typical running back. He understands what to do with his hands. You love guys like that. Very similar to, reminiscent of Christian McCaffrey. I don't think he catches as good as Christian, and not too many running backs do. But his ability to run between the tackles, outside the tackles, on the edge, get outside the edge, has the breakaway speed. He's not Jahmyr Gibbs by any means in that regard, but he kind of reminds me of a Le'Veon Bell. He has a little patience to him. He has a burst, power, height, physicality. He can protect. I really like this pick if they were able to get him.
And we have seen, too, I mean, I know 5 years ago the running back position was incredibly devalued, but look recently, McCaffrey, Barkley, Gibbs, you mentioned, just Kenneth Walker,
it's
the third.
Instant
like
mismatch.
Right, it is really becoming an important position again.
Yeah, they've never had a 1,000-yard rusher since Mahomes has been there. And they've only had they've had 1.5 seasons of what I would call above average running back play. Mahomes' first year as a starter, Kareem Hunt, before he got thrown off the team. He was an excellent player who obviously made some bad decisions. Hopefully he's redeemed himself in a lot of people's eyes since then. And then Pacheco his first year. But Pacheco, sadly, after he broke his leg, he just never been the same guy. But other than those season and a half, they've just been replacement-level guys.
All right, let's head to Pittsburgh. Steelers are starting a new post-Tomlin era. So what's the narrative? Well, a successful Super Bowl champion coach who has a track record of winning but has struggled in the postseason is waiting to see if a past-his-prime quarterback is willing to sign with the team, which would ensure that team wins around 8 or 9 games. Very little chance at the Super Bowl, however. So, bottom line, Steelers are willing to wait for Aaron Rodgers. Is this a mistake?
Wait or not, even if he was ready to sign this afternoon, I mean, there's only one reason I would possibly consider bringing back Aaron Rodgers, and that was if I really wanted him to mentor Will Howard. But maybe some of that took place last year, or maybe that's just not Rodgers. You would know better than us. But that's it. Outside of that, I am not. Why bring him back? Because a better scenario is putting Will Howard in there, and maybe he's not the guy. You win 3 or 4 games, and then you've got a high draft pick in what's at least now thought to be a strong quarterback class next year. You bring back Rodgers, the divisions should be tougher. We expect Baltimore to bounce back. Cincinnati maybe bounces back. But let's say they win 9 games. At best, you're doing exactly what you did this year, which is get in the playoffs and get bounced in the first round. Like, I would, now, Greg, I'm not sold on Howard. I liked him at Ohio State. If I was Pittsburgh and I haven't seen their name mentioned with this guy, I would try to go get Malik Willis. Like, that's who I would try to go get. I'm not so much Kyler. I mean, you could take a test on Kyler, but I would go get Willis. But I've seen Miami and Arizona mentioned with him more so than Pittsburgh.
So I don't think it would be a mistake, because I think this is clearly about Will Howard and his growth and his progression.
That's a lot of in a 6th round.
Right.
I totally understand. But when you listen to the press conference and you listen to Mike McCarthy speak, it's very targeted at the growth and the development of Will Howard, simply put. And it's one thing for him to have that experience with Aaron Rodgers, and I do think he's been better even with Zach Wilson and here in New York and all the young guys since Jordan Love. I just believe that right now, with Mike McCarthy taking over as your play caller, it's different having a different system, different plays, different verbiage, and seeing how that quarterback school works and how they work through things in the offseason versus Aaron Rodgers in almost mid-stride season, late off-season. You don't really know what you're going to get. You're just now getting to know him. Now you know him. You have a new play caller. You go through the quarterback school together. He gets all that educational tutelage. And then you see what you got from there. From a wins and losses perspective, I do. I think it puts them right back in the position of where they were this year. And for a lot of Steeler fans, they're like, we don't want that. But for the organization, they're about winning.
If I'm Mike McCarthy and you're my boss, you're a member of the Rooney family, you sign me, and I ask you, what does success look like for me in year one? In year one, what do I need to do to have you come into my office and say, Mike McCarthy, you did a great job. That's exactly what we wanted. What is your answer to me?
Not have a losing record. Right? That's where you're going with it.
Or develop
you think
our
that's
young
the
quarterbacks
Rooneys,
that
not
we
you.
already
No, that's
have.
not me. I was supposed to be the Rooneys there,
You're the
right?
Rooney,
Yeah. No, you were the first on this, but I took a lot away from the fact that the Steelers were fine with running it back with Tomlin.
Yeah.
That it seems like they might value and the head coach they picked, which is not a long-term growing pains, high upside as Mike McCarthy. They value a high floor rather than a high ceiling. Like, you know what I mean? That's what they value. I definitely think this would be a mistake. This is not how I think you should try to build a championship level team. I also think this. I'm focused on the weight piece of this. And I forgot to look this up for the show. I apologize. But Aaron Rodgers, like, we know his process in the offseason, what it once was. You know, the darkness retreat and the date and the calendar when that took place. Aaron Rodgers should not need more time to figure out what he's doing than Travis Kelce. So Kelce's going to let the Chiefs know before free agency what I'm doing. Yep. I'm not. If the Steelers want to say, hey, Aaron, there's no football business going on right now anyway, so take the next few weeks, fine. If this is like it was last time, where we are into the spring calendar, approaching, booking summer vacations, and we don't know what they're doing, that's an embarrassment for the Steelers. Because the argument for doing it last year was, yeah, we're going to wait because maybe we can win a championship. And instead, they got exactly what the realistic best case scenario was. Ravens have a tough year, you steal the division, and get stomped in round one of the playoffs. You now know that's the best you can realistically hope for. To wait wait for that would be embarrassing for the franchise, in my opinion. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.